All right, most important video of the day, of the year, if you want to call it that. All right, so what I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of taking my rubber rib and just smoothing out some little chunks of clay just to kind of give it a little bit smoother texture, make it cleaner. Okay, just make sure that that edge is nice and smooth when I attach it, and therefore it's going to just look a little bit cleaner. Okay, so what I've got here is I've got a bunch of these little balls of clay that I've created. I've got a bunch of these other designs. I might use those, I might not, I don't know. You can't really figure it out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this big guy, and then I'm gonna take one that's kind of medium. Okay, press that into that, press that one into that, and then I'm gonna kind of flatten these together, but I wanna keep that roundness. And then I'm gonna go ahead, back up a little bit so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing there. And then I'm gonna cut this one, I think, into thirds and make these a little bit smaller. There we go, that'll work. Okay, that guy's the right size. That one's still a little bit too big, so just take a little bit off and pinch that together, all right? So anytime I'm using anything with multiples, and you kind of see what I've got going on there, notice that it's round on this side, but on this side, it's perfectly flat, okay? Because that was pressed into the table. So then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my favorite tool, my popsicle stick, and I'm going to smooth this together right to left. And what I'm doing is I'm actually dragging clay from one piece of clay to the next. Right now, this is 5 separate pieces of clay, even though they're connected by me pressing them together, okay? But what I'm doing is I am taking clay from one side. My 2 pieces of clay are like this. I take this clay and I smear it over this way. I take this clay and I smear it over that way. And then when I smooth it, it locks everything in place, connects those pieces so they're really well bonded. Now, I'm also going to smooth the bottom of it, okay? So you can see the bottom part here. Because nobody's ever gonna see this part. This is the part that I'm gonna attach to that top lip. Okay, just like so. All right, so notice that it's smooth on the bottom, smooth on the back side, but on the front side, I still have my design left. All right, so next thing I'm going to grab, and I forgot to mention this, excuse me. This is exactly what it looks like. It is a little broken off piece of comb. It works very handy. What you can do is you can use a needle tool and you can scratch the surface. This is what we call scoring, okay? Most important technique I'm gonna teach you all year long, okay? And then I'm gonna make a crisscrossing pattern. Don't know if you guys can see that. Hopefully you can see it, okay? I'm not going too deep, just kind of scratching into it. Now, notice how long that took me. I can also do the same thing with a comb, which has about 7 or 8 different little scratching things or little points, and I'm done already, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and do that to both sides. This is the process called score, slip, and smooth, okay? We score the surface or we rough it up, okay? So you can see in that side, again, just make kind of a crisscrossing pattern. We're just gonna get that surface area kind of roughed up. I'm gonna take my finger, dip it into my water, maybe 2 fingers, and I'm gonna add water to that little top part, okay, or where it's rough. Same thing on my other piece here, okay? And we wanna get that nice and wet. I don't know if you can see that, okay? But, so what happens is the water is going to soak into all those little nooks and crannies, all those little chunks of clay that are sticking up. The water and the clay mixture is what we call slip. Okay, remember when I said ceramics people are very simple people? The reason we call it slip is because, you guessed it, when clay gets wet, guess what? It gets slippery. So we want to make sure that that's got a lot of slip on it. I am then going to press this down onto the 2 surfaces. So the 2 surfaces that are roughed up, we're going to press, and what's going to happen is they're going to kind of fit together like this, okay? And then we're going to take and we're going to smooth all those things together. So we score it, scratch it, we add water, we slip, okay, or create slip, and now we're gonna go ahead and do the smoothing part of it, okay? Just like I did on the back side and on the bottom side of these pieces, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to drag some of the clay from my little ball design here down into the bowl, and then going to smooth upward as well, okay? And I'm gonna do this a couple of times so that I really make sure that I have connected the two pieces of clay. If I don't do this, okay, if I just stick the pieces together, there's nothing really mechanically holding the pieces together. And will it stick? Maybe, but I can guarantee that if I smooth this together like I did on the inside there, okay, it is going to be solid and I'm not gonna have to worry about it, okay? And let's see. Now, I've got a bunch of little tool marks. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, probably not. I'm gonna go ahead and take my really soft rib and I'm gonna smooth that in and get rid of all those tool marks so that it looks like it was never more than one piece of clay. Probably, and you'll hear me say that phrase a lot, probably one of my favorite things about clay is the fact that you can make it look like it was never more than one piece. So you can see the pieces there, but how did he connect it on the back side? It's perfectly smooth, okay? Those are things that I like about clay and working with it, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna come up with a couple other little designs and then maybe add a coil to the top, and then we'll talk about a foot. But don't need to bore you with that kind of stuff, but I'll show you anyway, all right? So let's end it here. We'll show you the next video. That'll show you a couple of different things that I can do with the clay as well.